We're going to start today with Devdutt Yellurkar, General Partner of CRV, Charles River Ventures. Devdutt, welcome. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Salmana.
So, Devdutt, I think the first thing I'd like to do is introduce our audience to yourself as well as to CRV's current activities, philosophies, investment thesis, and so forth. So let's start there.
Sure.
Tell us a bit about your background and then also introduce CRV to the audience.
Sure. So I'm still masquerading as a venture capitalist. I'm only 9 years into this gig. I came to this after a 2-year sannyasa in India. I didn't do much work. I think I had done 3 back-to-back startups, and all of them were quite successful. Just before the 2-year hiatus, I spent 8 years building a company called Yantra, which was the first e-commerce platform that eventually got acquired by AT&T and then IBM, and today is IBM's commerce platform. We had 700 employees, half of them in the US and half of them in India. Pure tech, one of the first tech product companies out of India, going back, eventually got acquired in 2004. Prior to that, I was one of the first employees at an Indian company called Infosys, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. I joined them in a very, very small in a hacker house in Bangalore, and we grew from there and built and ran worldwide sales and marketing. The company went public in 1992 in India, and today is one of the most iconic companies out of India. And prior to that, I was just a gopher out of school. I worked for a startup CEO called Peter Baptista, who was starting an automotive braking company. And we had a wonderful run. We started doing something and then eventually ended up doing something completely different, and the company went public and today is part of the German automotive giant Bosch. It's a very, very successful automotive braking company. So I had 3 long runs, I realized that it was about perseverance and hard work, and I needed a break, and I took 2 years off. And then the guy that CRV decided to
What did you do when you took 2 years off? What did you do?
I did nothing.
What does doing nothing mean?
I spent time with my mother in India. I spent time with my wife and child here in the US, and I was kind of a couple of the board members from my company had invited me to kind of spend time with them, so I became kind of a venture partner with a firm called Rowe and with Morgan Stanley. So I spent time with them, just spending time on Mondays.
That's really doing nothing.
After doing 3 those businesses were marathons, so kind of.
I know. Absolutely. Yeah, intense.
So in 2009, CRV, 2008 actually, the CRV decided to call me and said, hey, why don't you spend some time with us? I joined them as a venture partner for a year, started spending more time with them, and figured out whether I wanted to kind of get in, work with younger startups. As you know, CRV is an early stage platform, and one of the first investments I made was in a company called Zendesk, which is very successful. We did our IPO in 2014. Today has a market cap of $6 billion. So I kind of got the bug. So I'm still I'm a general partner at CRV. CRV is a fantastic early stage platform. It is, I think, one of the oldest platforms, early stage platforms in the country. We are investing out of our 17th fund right now. And people on the phone may not understand the significance of that number, but there are very few venture firms in the world. Maybe we may be the only one with 17 consecutive funds. And that typically is rare because, venture capital is just about, a band of people getting together and doing work together. And it's very difficult to do transitions. And, as you move from one generation to the next generation to the next, it's very difficult to do that. CRV, has built a phenomenal culture and a phenomenal track record of investing in early stage technology companies, and they bring in people from from the industry, and we all become partners, and then over a period of time, we have this ability to kind of rejuvenate, and we have had kind of a tremendous success over the past 48 years now.
So I've known George Zachary for a long time, and when I started 1Mby1M, he was one of the people who wanted to invest in 1Mby1M. So I've had interactions with CRV for many, many, many years. What is the current fund size, Devdutt?
We are the Chance over 17 is a $600 million fund.
And what check sizes are you writing these days?
Our focus hasn't changed. We still do early stage, primarily an early stage investor. We do seed, Series A, mostly. The check sizes these days have gone anywhere from $1.5 million for the seed to maybe $7 to $8 million Series A. That's the range in which I think these projects are coming in. Sometimes we do Series Bs, and those Series B checks are $10 to $15 million. And of late, we have started writing a few very, very selective growth investments, and so we have done one or two of them so far, and those are 20, 25 million range. That's typically the range. Seed is $1.5 million to $2 million. Series A is 7 to 10, and then Series B are kind of 10 to 15.
So that's I know you do both. Go on, please.
No, please go ahead.
I know you do both B2B and B2C. Can you double-click down a little bit and talk about how do you define seed and how do you define Series A in terms of metrics? Let's say, today I'm sure you're doing a lot of B2B SaaS. What is the seed metric that you're comfortable with in B2B SaaS, and what is a Series A metric?
We don't look, well, there are enough blogs out there to talk about what the metrics are. We don't pay attention to that stuff. Our focus is entirely based on the quality of the entrepreneur. We focus on, we have found that to be the single most important variable in the success or the outcome of the company. So we as CRV, over 48 years, we have made over 450, 500 investments. We have got 70, as an early stage company, 75 plus IPOs. And if you analyze that, the common success factor is the quality of the entrepreneur, because markets come and go, technologies come and go. So we kind of over-rotate on the quality of the entrepreneur. And then the price kind of gets settled by the market. You can't control the price. Price is always settled by the market, and the quality, the amount of raise that the entrepreneur is doing just depends on what they're looking to do with that money. So typically, in the seed stage, entrepreneurs are looking to get to a particular milestone, whether they're trying to build a product or they've already built a product and they're trying to get some distribution. If you talk to kind of SaaS companies, if you take just that small vertical, typically, with the cloud and with new technologies that are coming out, you can build product pretty easily. Building is not as difficult. So what we are noticing now, and we are seeing this across the globe. Actually, we think entrepreneurs come here from across the globe. They have raised $100,000 before, or with an accelerator. They've spent time with some accelerator for 100, and raised maybe $250,000, build some kind of a product, have some customers, and they're trying to understand, can this thing scale? Can this thing get to some form of size? Yeah, and that's when they come in and to raise. Either they raise a little bit of capital from us, or they go to more range, some angels. So that range is typically entrepreneurs try to raise $1.5 million to $2 million, and that is primarily to test distribution. And they're trying to figure out whether they can actually get distribution.
Yeah, so the issue that a lot of entrepreneurs in SaaS are facing right now is that there is almost the bulk of the investors are looking for a 1 million ARR before they're willing to write checks. So it's interesting to see your perspective on how you are looking at B2B SaaS. Let's talk about B2C.
I think blogs are, I think you have to be careful on reading blogs. People do write a lot. There's a lot of material on Quora. There's a lot of material on blogs, and there are some of these metrics that go down. So I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs come in saying, hey, we've got to 1 million, and therefore we are ready. And that is a good milestone, but that's not the only milestone. You have to I would encourage people to look for some kind of velocity in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on how long it has taken you to get to 1 million.
And also what speed at which it is growing. It may take you 10 years to get to 1 million, but if the revenue started 2 months ago and it started, you kind of got to some kind of, you've understood some distribution mechanics. I think then the question is, how big could this get? Are those channels scalable? Is there enough of a need? Is this strategic enough? What is it that they know that nobody else knows? Those kinds of questions get asked. I think typically we look for entrepreneurs with some kind of a secret. What do they know that not many other people know? Because if they know something that other people don't know, if they're slightly ahead of the game, or if their thinking is slightly different, that actually is very attractive. Rather than some obscure number.
Thinking is what builds the defensibility, absolutely. But just to kind of counter your point about what people are writing about, we have a podcast and these roundtables. We've had hundreds of investors come and discuss their investment thesis the same way you are doing. And it's actually interesting that some are willing to take the velocity risk as long as there is some validation and they're willing to work with the entrepreneurs to figure out the velocity. Some want all of that already proven. So I was just testing where your comfort zone is. Like if everything is proven and you're looking to just put in money into a proven investment thesis, that's a different kind of an.
In SaaS, it doesn't require a lot of capital to get there. That's I was talking specifically about SaaS.
And that's
in a horizontal kind of a SaaS product. Now, when you go, SaaS is such a huge category. Like everything is dumped into that. Unfortunately, that 4-letter acronym. We have SaaS companies that are building very complex products and are selling. The average kind of customer size is $300,000 to $400,000. Obviously, you're not going to get velocity there, So there is enough of technology risk that we are willing to take for those kinds of companies. Recently, I invested in a company that required $10 million just in the seed round, because it was such monumental technology risk. And we are willing to take that depending on the quality of the entrepreneur. They didn't even have a product.
Would you take that risk on a first-time entrepreneur?
Yes, they are first-time entrepreneurs.
Okay, great. That's very good to know, because again, that's another hurdle that first-time entrepreneurs face, is that all the VCs want to invest their fast startup capital on repeat entrepreneurs, and they don't want to work with first-time entrepreneurs.
It is always easier to kind of invest in people who have gone through the MBA program.
Sure.
Right. Doing a startup is like doing an MBA. You know, so if you've done an MBA,
it's much more than doing an MBA.
Yeah, it's
MBA
better than
you
doing
can
an
do
MBA.
spreadsheet jockeying to the galore, but being a startup operator requires real mettle.
Right, that's exactly right. You kind of, having done that a few times, it is, and I've not done an MBA for the same reason. I think, I think running a business teaches you a lot. Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the kinds of stuff that you have invested in, and give us a little bit of a view into how you've thought about it. I mean, you started by talking about Zendesk. This is a company that we know very well. We cover it regularly, and also, when one of our biggest success that came out of the program is one of Zendesk's top competitor, Freshdesk. That company came into our program back in 2011, April. So they had just started, and then they were in the program for 3 years. So we got to know that space very well. It was also kind of the beginning of SaaS companies out of India. But Zendesk is not out of India. It's a European roots company, right? How did you encounter them, and at what stage?
That's a great story. They were, the story is in 2009, late 2008, 2009, we were looking at that space. One of my partners at CRV, Izhar, was looking at a company in the space, and he asked me to join him to do some work. And we ended up looking at the space, and I was spending time, and I felt like, the distribution models have inherently changed. And this is 2008. I felt that, people in their 30s, who were in their 30s then, had grown up on the internet. They'd grown up buying their stuff on Amazon, had grown up on auctions and eBay, were comfortable with email, and were pretty comfortable with technology. So they were able to kind of search for and buy technology without having to deal with IT. And that in 2008, 2009 was quite revolutionary. And I came across, while doing that work, I came across this company in Copenhagen. And I just found, at that time, Twitter had just launched. And as you know, we are one of the first investor in Twitter. And Twitter search had just launched. And I went and searched on Twitter for sentiment around Zendesk. And all I found was just pure love. Everybody was saying very positive things about it. That is a rudimentary research. So I went on Google, searched for the founder of Zendesk, and I came across his number. The poor guy had left his number behind on some conference that he had gone to. I cold called into him. It was, I think, not middle of the night, but pretty late in the night in Copenhagen. And I called him and I said, hey, listen, I'm from CRV, and I found you on the net, and I find you pretty interesting. Can I come to see you tomorrow? And, I just found so much love and passion for the product that I felt like I should go there. And in the meantime, I'd asked a couple of my friends to start using the product, and it was so easy to use that I felt like I should go meet them. So I flew down the next day, and I went up to their loft. The three founders were there, and we spent the whole day talking about life and business. And Mikkel and Alex and Morten were, they were unique people. Mikkel had built and implemented support systems before, and I found that he had a very clear sense about what he his philosophy was 80% of the people need only 20% of the functionality, and I just want to design that 20% of the functionality as well as anybody else. Morton was very early to the cloud, and he said, rather than hosting this somewhere else, I'm just going to host it on the cloud and using Ruby. And Alex was a designer. And for the first time, I found in enterprise software, now this is going back to 2008, 2009, that a designer, you know, a kind of a visual designer was part of the founding team. And, you know, I've not seen it in enterprise companies. I've seen them in consumer companies before.
Sure.
But this was radical. It was a radical shift. And I just felt like these guys were onto something special. And they had already raised like $500,000 and they were trying to kind of make do. I also, I caught them at maybe the right time. This was, you know, the world had kind of melted by then. The financial crisis had hit and most of the venture capitalists had run away from venture capital. And I was naive and stupid enough not to understand the significance of that. So I said, great, you know, I like those three and I should invest. And when everybody else was not investing, I was investing. So I just got, because I was naive and stupid. And, you know, I put some money behind them.
And what, how much were they doing at this point? They obviously had so much love from customers. That's how you discovered them. They had revenues. And this is something that I like about European companies. European companies are more fundamentals oriented.
Yes, yes. They were doing, I think, $30,000 a month. So $300,000, $350,000 ARR maybe. But,
yeah,
you know, it was just the love for the product was amazing. It's just amazing because, you know, simple device. It was like Slack. You know, it's you know, people were just signing up and using it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that was very. I think that was the way I found them.
Yeah. What are other highlights in your portfolio that illustrate other ways that you think about businesses? This is very helpful, by the way, and in understanding you as a person and how you like to approach investment. So any other case study, so to speak?
You know, there was recently, you know, have you heard of Amy Chang?
Sure.
Amy is now a senior executive at Cisco. But prior to that, she was a senior executive at Google. And she was one of the first, you know, one of the early Googlers. And she built and ran Google Analytics. And she's a legend in the industry. And she was thinking of doing something new. So she had left Google and she was advisor to a few companies, and she was thinking of doing something new. And her CTO, Matthias Ruhl, who kind of is one of the key guys at Google, they were thinking of kind of doing something, but it was, she had a 2-slide deck. You know, I think the first slide said, you know, your Dunbar number is 150, and I want to solve for that. That was the second slide. You know, basically her point was that you don't remember more than 150 people. You know, and today's networks are more than 150 people. You know a lot of people, and the more people you know, the more kind of better, the stronger the ability to kind of the networking and relationship management is a huge part of the success of people. And she said, look, there's a natural limit to your brain of 150. Some people have slightly more, some people have slightly less. But what if I can augment that and expand your Dunbar number? And, you know, because of who she was, it was a hyper-competitive project with all the top firms in the industry kind of wanting to invest in her. And, you know, somehow she got convinced that maybe because I have more empathy, because I was an entrepreneur before, and understand you know, how tough it is. And she had that was the first time she was being an entrepreneur. She had been an executive before. So she was taking a plunge, and she felt like, I think she felt more comfortable that I'll maybe be a better board member, a better, more empathetic board member, and that not that I'll teach her how to run a business. I mean, she can she can teach us in her sleep, but just deal with all the uncertainties of building a business. And you know, we came to a handshake agreement on a Saturday, and by Tuesday the money was in her account. So it was very, very quick. It was primarily because we thought she was. We still think that she is very special and as an entrepreneur, and she was solving for a very complicated problem. And you know, it's very rare to see somebody who has this relentless pursuit of opportunity and wanting to chase down something that's very gnarly and complex, and his ability to, you know, we at CRV, we have something called founder quotient. As I was telling you earlier in the call, we specifically look for, we over-rotate on quality of entrepreneur. And one of my partners, Sargur, has written, I think, a great post on this called founder quotient. So we look for, you know, is the person able to recruit people? Is the person able to inspire people? Is the person able to raise capital? Does the person have a unique insight, a secret that nobody else knows? So there are multiple attributes that we look at, and we sum it all up into something called founder quotient. And Amy's founder quotient was off the charts, off the charts. So we, you know, yeah.
What happened? She left to go to Cisco?
No, she built the company, and the company just got acquired by Cisco.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
It was a very, very successful, very short period of time. It was a massive exit to Cisco. She's very successfully, you know, she's now part of Chuck's Robbins' executive team.
And what is the name of the company?
It's called A Company. It's like ACC, A Company.
A Company, okay. Now, tell us a little bit about what you see today in terms of trends that interest you, where you think that there are going to be large companies. And of course, you know, when I ask this question to investors, the word that comes back inevitably is AI. But I want something more sophisticated, a more, you know, a deeper analysis from you.
How much more time do we have? I know you. I have a hard stop, so I know you have a bunch of other things to do on your call.
9, right? Yeah. You have a hard stop at 9. So let's spend 5 minutes on this, and then we'll switch to the entrepreneur pitches.
Okay. Repeat your question.
Question is, you know, there's a lot going on right now in the industry, and venture capital is a very mature market. It's a very well understood business model. Lots of players. The micro VC phenomenon has completely ballooned. The late stage capital has ballooned, you know, with SoftBank going completely wild with capital into the late stage. So given that setup, and given all the things that are happening in technology, AI, and so forth, how do you analyze your business, venture business, and where are the significant success stories going to come from, in your opinion, in your analysis?
Well, I think there are two reasons why I think venture capital, the industry has got so much capital coming in. One is, I think that's where the growth is. You know, I think everything now is software related. Every industry is software related. So the industry itself has become, the technology industry has become kind of very pervasive. You know, it's very, very, you know, whether it's autonomous cars or drones or healthcare or, you know, everything has technology in it, and therefore entrepreneurs who have some kind of a critical insight into that industry can now apply venture capital dollars against that industry. So I think that is what is exciting. And that is, because of that, I think the opportunity for venture capital, both for entrepreneurs and for venture capitalists, is much, much bigger than we have ever seen it before. Now, the cloud has, the cloud and the web have dramatically reduced or altered early stage economics. You know, in my day, when we had to kind of build something, we had to build a data center, build an engineering team, and do all that stuff. And it took a lot of capital. I remember when, by the time I got to scale, I'd already raised $25 million in the 90s. And you don't need that stuff anymore. You know, you can now, two people sitting in Vietnam can write a beautiful application using Google or Amazon AWS because the frameworks are built out, where you don't need to do all that stuff anymore. You don't have to write your own application server like we did. Everything is open source, is available. You can write quick applications, and you can do it from anywhere in the world. And so you have access to technology and access to frameworks and access to compute that didn't exist before. So the cost of capital, that's why early stage, which is seed stage, that's why there's so many micro VCs, because in SaaS, typically you don't have that the barrier to kind of building companies has dropped. And because of which, there is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that you have hundreds of micro VC funds, so there's more capital available, more choices available across the globe. But there are thousands of entrepreneurs with the same ideas. So, you know, it's very, I always joke that when a company comes out of YC, there are 5 other companies starting all over the world that do exactly the same thing. And that's okay, you know, that's competition. It's like nobody's saying you have to be only original. And may the best entrepreneur win. So I think that is a phenomenon because of which you have a extreme amount of startup activity. And then at the later stage, you know, you have guys like bigger funds and the larger funds have the ability to sit back and watch for who's going to win and then deploy that capital. So I think it's all good for the entrepreneur. The way I look at it is, it's never been a better time to build companies and the ability and to take risks, because you can get less diluted in the early phases. Unlike me, you know, we had so much dilution in the early phases. By the time the company got somewhere, you know, it was like not much money left for the entrepreneur. But now you can kind of capture that. But the gauntlet that you have to go through is distribution. You know, making yourself different, making yourself unique, making yourself grow fast. If you can
it's become very noisy. The web has become very noisy. So to get noticed for whatever it is that you're doing is a tough exercise, and you really have to understand how to.
Even in 2008, 2009, when Zendesk was starting up, there were, I think when we did our analysis, there were 25, 30 companies all over the world doing the same thing. It's like, why did Zendesk get through the gauntlet? You know, they had a secret. They were unique. They understood that the 80% of the people just needed 20% of the functionality, and that, I think, is the unique understanding. And then understanding that email is a great way to build workflow. You don't need to kind of build your own workflow. So they had many secrets. Insights. Because of which they designed insights, because of which they designed the product the way they designed it, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we could go on